here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Thursday, October 13th, 2011. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. Boy, it's just getting so crazy out there. And before I get started on the show, a couple of things. First of all, phone lines are open. The number, as always, 877-342-6673, 877-342-6673. Brett's in the control room, twiddling the dials, answering the phones, and just overall keeping us out of trouble as he always does. And I want to start off the show, first of all, with a little bit of a shout-out to all of you listeners and all of our readers who did get on the phones and email last night to all their friends and family and all their local media, because this whole hoax about this used car salesman who just, after 25 years of living the American dream down there in Texas, all of a sudden decided to turn into Ahmed, the dead terrorist, and go out with the Mexican dopers and blow up the Saudi embassy in Washington, D.C. And it's a dumb story, and even the corporate media is like stepping back and saying, we're not sure we really care to go any further with this. Now, that's not deterring the government from going on and pretending like this is completely true and us loyal Americans are all believing it, you know, because, you know, if you don't believe what we're telling you, the terrorists are going to win. Well, too bad we don't believe you here. And I think probably the biggest news that we've had today is that an insider inside the FBI has blown the whistle. That there is absolutely no information about any ongoing terror investigation. They just made this thing up. And as a matter of fact, Dylan Ratigan did this show where he basically outlined the fact that there have been 20 supposed terrorist plots uncovered in the United States of America. 3 of them involved ordinary Americans finding, like, the shoe bomber and the crotch bomber and the Times Square bomber, and we're not even sure how real those little situations were. The other 17 are all claimed to have been thwarted by the FBI, but all 17 involved informants and plants who basically set up the terror operation to then go in and bust it and say, see, we're doing our good job. And this one is also the case. That's what came out of this FBI insider blowing the whistle. There was no ongoing investigation. They simply approached this guy and said, hey, how would you like to do X, Y, Z? We still don't know what he said. We don't know what's going on. We know that he was interrogated for 12 days, and because it's a terror investigation, they probably waterboarded him, and they got him to confess to blowing up the Hindenburg or something like that, and they've gone to news with this thing. But the story is so absurd. And even now, the White House has backed off and admitted they don't actually have any evidence that connects this used car salesman and the Mexican dopers to the government of Iran. They just know it as an article of faith. And you have to trust the White House to know what's best for America. Well, actually, I trust this White House to know what's best for Israel. And as far as America's concerned, you know, absolute, complete and total failure here. But even CNN is expressing skepticism about this whole situation, but the politicians are still on there. In fact, just before we went to airtime, Dianne Feinstein was on CNN going, yes, absolutely, it's real. You've got to believe us. It's real. It is a threat. They're going to come and tear the tags off your couch cushions. They're going to steal socks out of your drawer. They're going to do all these horrible things. And, you know, they're really selling this as hard as they can. And the reason I think they are, the White House already knows they've lost this one as far as the American people are concerned, as far as the entire world is concerned. Their credibility is blown. Everybody knows they're lying. Everybody assumes they're lying. It's the safe assumption. There's absolutely no proof that this is anything other than another made-for-the-media FBI hoax. Okay? But the U.S. government has to go on pretending like it's real, because they can't back up. They can't admit, yeah, you caught us, we lied. Because then immediately, everything else the government has ever said in the last 230 years comes under immediate suspicion. Like Saddam's nuclear weapons, 9/11, all those things. The U.S. government's permanent attitude is, we're going to pretend like this is the truth and nobody doubts us whatsoever. Because we're going to act as if this is the truth. It's an article of faith. So this Iranian used car salesman from Texas plot is yet another albatross around the neck of this government's credibility. This FBI whistleblower has confirmed what we all correctly assumed to be the case. The United States government once again lied to you all with premeditation, with malice aforethought, to sell your children into military service against Israel's enemies. That's what this is all about. But don't worry, if your kid comes home from this looking like steak tartare, they will give you a very nice flag, made in China, and a little bit of ribbon, same notation, to make you feel all better about having lost your child over there in the deserts of the Middle East. That's what's going on here. So now Obama and the federal government, they are stuck with this lie. They're going to have to live with it. Everybody knows it's a lie. It's another nail in the coffin of the trustworthiness of the United States government. They can't shrug and say, it was just a joke, you know. The U.S. government, like that place where all the child molesters hang out, you know, the one with the really pointy roof part, the U.S. government operates entirely on the blind faith of the public. They demand unquestioning belief in everything they say and everything they do. And like those guys in the other institution that we caught with the altar boys up there in the choir loft, we're beginning to understand these are not nice people who are running this country right now. Because they made that conscious decision to lie to you in order to grab your kids and rent them out as mercenary troops in service to Israel to attack Israel's enemy, Iran. And they don't care how many of them get killed. They are that ruthless, that insensitive, that uncaring, that sociopathic. This is what they do. Oh, we're in charge of a population of 300 million. Well, let's see. We can take that 20 million and we can rent them out to other countries to use for their soldiers. Isn't that cool? We'll make so much money. And we'll get so much campaign donations. That's really what it's all about. Everybody's getting ready to run for election next year. They need the support of what they lightly call the Jewish vote, but it isn't the Jewish vote, it's the Jewish money. It's all the money coming in from AIPAC. You know, people like Bernie Madoff, when they screw their investors for $65 billion, they turn around and they pour a lot of that money into these various lobbying groups. And the lobbying groups turn around and use it to bribe Congress to steal your children from you and put them to work killing Israel's enemies. This is as close a definition to slavery as I can think of, because everybody who wears the uniform of the United States military services put it on there with the idea they were going to be protecting and defending the United States of America. Not get sent off overseas to attack the enemies of a foreign government in exchange for a campaign donation for next year's congressional campaigns. And because this is now the second time we have caught this government doing it, that proves intent. They can't say, oh, it was just another mistake. We meant well. We tried our best. It was bad intelligence. No, it wasn't. You, the U.S. federal government, lied to us all about Saddam's nuclear weapons, and now you're lying to us about this used car salesman and Mexican druggie plot to steal our children and send them off to bloody, horrible deaths on behalf of a foreign government. You're busted. We know what you're doing. Now, because the United States government is wholly under the control of Israel, because they're being blackmailed over 9/11, you know, Netanyahu's over there saying, you know, you do what we say, or we'll tell everybody who really did 9/11, and it'll be worse for you than it is for us, because you hired us. You know, it was all your idea. So the U.S. is out there trying to rally the rest of the world. I don't think they're having a lot of success. And we already know that Hillary Clinton isn't out there saying, yes, Iran was mean, we must unite against them. Because the other governments around the world are smart enough to know that this is a big steaming pile of USDA choice bovine excrement that is being shoveled onto the world's media. So Hillary's probably over there saying, look, yeah, it was all a lie, but if you help us conquer Iran, we'll let you have your gasoline at $1 a gallon from Iran's stockpiles. And don't worry about the profit. We'll stick the American people for $10 a gallon to make our profit. You'll get yours at a discount if you help us conquer the Iranian oil fields. So that's what's going on out there. And the U.S. government cannot back off. They're constrained by their self-image. They're constrained by their slavery to the government of Israel. And so they're out there. I mean, look at Hillary Clinton's face. Look at Barack Obama's face. Would you buy a used car from these people? Then please do not buy a used car salesman from these people. It's a hoax. It's a lemon. It's a huge lemon. Now, the more and more we learn about this guy, this used car salesman, people who knew him said he was a joke. He was lazy. He wasn't all that good at business. He's not the kind of person that becomes a terrorist or an assassin or any of this other stuff. It's a complete fabrication, and the burden of proof is on the government, and they have failed utterly to prove their case. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors. Obama's out there saying, we've tortured somebody into saying that you're bad people, so we're going to come and invade you. That's how absurd it really is. So, first of all, for those of you who did get on the phone to your friends, your family, your relatives, your local media, your Congress critters, the big media, everybody, thank you. And I need you to keep on doing it. And for those of you who didn't do it yesterday, start doing it right now. We have a matter of mere days to put the brakes on this thing. And how you're going to do it is twofold. You're going to call every member of Congress and you're going to say, if you let this thing move forward into Iran, you can absolutely guarantee you will not have my vote next election. I don't care how much of Israel's money you put in your pocket. You are gone, gone, gone. Make it that direct. There isn't enough vote fraud in the world to reverse a landslide. Now, the other thing that you need to do is you need to put a little bit of doubt in the minds of the government that they're going, first of all, by telling them you don't believe this story now, you're sending a message that you're not likely to believe anything that's yet to come, because there has to be something to come. They can't invade Iran on the basis of this blown story, because nobody's buying it. So there's going to have to be a false flag attack. Probably wherever they've got all the fast and furious paperwork stored up for the coming congressional investigation or in response to the subpoenas. That's what will get hit. They did that back when Congress was getting ready to investigate Waco. They put all the paperwork in the Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, and golly gee whiz, those gosh darn terrorists just blew it all up and ended the investigation. Same thing with 9/11. A lot of the Security Exchange Commission's investigations into white-collar crime just happened to be stored in Building Number 7 on the day of 9/11. Ended a lot of those investigations. A lot of people got scot-free for millions of dollars in fraud. Now, the U.S. government is already issuing sanctions against Iran's central bank. Iran has a government-issued currency, just the way Libya did. It's all about the money. It's all about ending government banks and making way for private central banking. This is a war between banking systems. I've been telling you that for years. So it's always about the money, and it's always about making sure that this banking system for the people can never be allowed to be seen anywhere on earth, to keep us all slaves to those private bankers. That's a big part of what this government is sending out your children to die for, is to make the world safe for compound interest. Now, just before we went to airtime, Fox News was reporting that the U.S. government had made direct contact with Iran over the terror plot, and Obama says Tehran will pay a price. Now, Iran is laughing about all of this. I wish they wouldn't, because they're going to be chuckling right up to the time that cruise missile comes in through their window. I'm not sure why the U.S. is making direct contact, because they're not going to get the response they want. I'm sure right now Obama is on the phone to Ahmadinejad saying, you better start kissing Israel's butt, or we're going to nuke you. And listen, take it from me. It's not that bad once you get used to it. Wear knee pads. So Obama might be actually telling Tehran that if you cancel your nuclear plans, you shut down your power station, and you give up all your medical isotopes to make Israel happy, so that Israel has, again, a nuclear monopoly in the region, can go on selling nuclear bombs to South Africa or anywhere else they want to, that will make Israel happy. And, of course, that's nonsensical. As soon as Israel gets what they want from Iran, they'll want more. We have seen that pattern time and time again. You make an agreement, and Israel comes back and say, by the way, just one more little tiny thing. And you agree to that. And they come back and say, that's wonderful, thank you very much, but we have one more. And they go on and on and on. So I can guarantee you right now, someplace in the bowels, and I chose that word deliberately, of the White House, somebody is seriously saying, we're going to have to blow up something really big and nasty in this country and shock everybody, shock those Americans so they don't think anymore. They just feel and fear. And then we say, Iran did it, and we'll be off and running again. Won't it be fun? It'll be cool. We'll have World War III for real with mushroom clouds and everything. We're going to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back.